Hello there folks, Bonkekook here, aka your Lonely Achievement God, continuing our Lawn Mowing Simulator Challenge coverage with Professional Challenge number 3, the Gardens of 54 Coville Street. We'll be using a Stiga Tornado Mower. Again, I'm not a big fan of Stigas, but we gotta use what they give us. And the Stiga, unfortunately, struggles with the height of the grass on this contract, so managing your overloads is going to be very important. We also only have 23 minutes to get this contract done, and time is going to be an issue. This isn't going to be one of the ones where you finish with 6 or 7 minutes left. So really, this is a pretty good test of your skills so far. Managing your overloads, cutting quickly, etc. All things you are going to have to get good at for the expert challenges. So this is kind of a good test to see how well you've done at doing both of those things at the same time. You do have a 45 currency fine, which does give you some wiggle room. You're going to see that I kind of abandon caution around some flower beds and kill a few flowers. You have the ability to do so. There aren't obstacles that you're going to run into on this lawn, so the primary penalty or fine damage is going to come from damaging flowers. So you can kill 30 to 40 flowers without an issue, so you don't have to worry too much. If in fact, if you can edge around the flower gardens and the outside of the lawn at a sprint, do so. As long as you're not killing too many flowers, it'll save you a couple of extra seconds, and that could be very important at the end of the contract. And we do have the Pro View available, but more than likely you're not going to have a lot of time to use it, because you do have to stand still for a second or two before it will trigger. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to grab our string trimmer right off the bat and work our way around the outside. As I said, I am going to be attempting to kind of stay at a sprint as we go around, so don't be afraid to run into a couple of flowers. If it happens, it's not a big deal. We also have a 95 or 99.5 cut percent requirement instead of 99.9, which means you can be you can leave some grass behind. If you miss a couple of spots around when you're edging, don't worry about it. You don't have to be perfect. Obviously, every little bit counts, so do your best to get as much grass as you can, but don't stress out about it too much. If you get everything edged properly, that gives you a little bit of wiggle room to have some issues with overloading and leaving grass behind, etc. on your mower. When we get down to the wall here, we're going to do tight circles because we don't want our mower to have to get too close to the wall. Before we move on, turn around and get the flower bed here. Again, you don't need to be perfect, and if you destroy some flowers, it's not a big deal. Then turn around, and we're going to get this tree here, and we're going to do patented circles around the outside of the tree. If you destroy a flower or two, it's fine. You can afford the penalty fine. Or the penalty / fine. It's better to get this edged out so that you don't have to bring your mower too close. Once you have that done, turn around and we're going to return down here and start working on this wall. And the reason we're doing the circles is because of those portions that kind of jut out into the lawn. And if you only do a single pass with the trimmer, there is a high probability of you hitting your mower on those portions that jut out. And you can't really afford to cause that kind of damage or potentially get penalized for hitting them if you're driving real fast. So we're doing the circle method that I've shown off in many of my videos. Once we get to this wall, we're going to cut to the end, and then there's going to be another flower bed for us to take care of. So start across this and turn around. And work your way around this flower bed. Again, if you happen to kill a flower or two, don't worry about it. Then return back and start doing your circles along this wall. We're almost done. We have just that tiny little portion at the beginning of the level near where our trailer is. So we're going to get that circled, and then there's a tiny flower bed behind us that we're going to work on as well. And again, don't worry if you destroy some flowers. With that done, we're going to get on to our mower, do all the wonderful basic stuff. We're going to flip our camera up. I prefer the overhead angle than behind the back, and we need a 5 centimeter height. So get it to 5, hit X to start the blades, and start driving. And as I mentioned, overloads are a concern even around the outside. This mower is not great at cutting this height of grass. So we also use the left side of the mower, as you can see there, because we discharge to the right. Don't worry about the message about the clippings being left behind. That's going to be a constant, and you don't really get a penalty for it. But there's no sense in cutting with the right side and having that penalty pop up non-stop while you're cutting. We're going to edge this portion of the lawn first and complete it separately from everything else. And I recommend trying to get about 50% grass. And what I mean by that is we're going to get our new grass that we're cutting coming in around the center of our mower. This should allow us, for the most part, to stay at our top speed and cut without overloading our engine too much. It can be a little difficult to see where the grass is because of the darkness. Just do your best. The other thing you have to be careful of is right there. If you are turning, you turn and you overload your engine because you're cutting more grass than usual. Just do your best to take the corners a bit slower so that you don't overload your engine too much. The other thing to keep in mind with engine overloads is that we are on a small hill. So we're heading down the hill now. You'll have a slightly higher speed going down the hill than when we come up the hill. So you may have to manage your speed a little bit on the downhill just so you don't overload your engine too much. And it's not a big difference. It's maybe we got up to 5.9 on the way up the hill, but you're hitting 6 on the way down. So there is a little bit of a difference in speed there. As always, if you see your engine overloading, start tapping the accelerator instead of taking your finger off completely, because we are in a timed challenge. You need to kind of learn to manage the overloads without coming to a complete stop. Since we're here, we're going to edge around the flower bed now, and we destroyed a ton of flowers, but as I said, you have a pretty decent penalty forgiveness on this one, so if you run over some flowers, don't fret about it. We are going to stop and work on this section of the grass before going back down, though. And I'm pretty sure the Stega cuts kind of around the spot where your legs are, where you're sitting. I don't think it's cut as quite as narrow as the nose, but it's also not as wide as the rear end. So I think the cut where the mower cuts is kind of a happy medium between the two. So, try to be cognizant of where your mower cuts as well. I think it cuts. You can kind of see a circle that juts out on the left side of the mower, and I think that's kind of the blade guard. So I think that's where, the left side of the blade gets to. Be careful here. In my previous attempt at recording this, I actually got stuck on the brick here and had to cancel my recording because I couldn't get loose. And you don't really have time to get off the mower, reset it, and restart it and start driving again. That's just not going to happen. So be cautious on that brick pathway there, because if you turn the wrong direction, your mower may get stuck like mine did. And then words that shouldn't be said in an achievement hunting video get said, ruining the E for Everyone rating. So we're going to do a couple of laps around this large section of the lawn, and then when our laps, or our cuts, begin to meet with each other, or get close to each other, we're going to start sectioning off the areas of the lawn and focus on finishing the different areas. And this area is just really dark, so try to pay extra attention there in case you've overloaded your engine. It can be difficult to see if you left any grass behind because of the darkness. Now that may just be me with the crappy eyes talking, but it could also affect you too, so just keep an eye out for that. We're going to work on edging this flower garden since we're here. And we're actually going to do a second lap to get us back around. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of edge this like that and back up into the section that we didn't cut. And that way when we come back on the next rotation, we don't have to stop and start. We can just make a turn and keep cutting the grass. That's an important time-saving technique that you're going to want to kind of learn how to do as you get to the expert challenges. If you have a pointy bit and you keep making your laps, you don't want to have to keep taking care of a pointy bit every time you come around that section of the grass. So try to do what I did there, and we're going to cut off this section of the lawn here, where you kind of round out the edge so you can continue cutting the grass in one smooth motion, but then back up and take care of the portion that was poking out. And I'm going to have an example of that in my general tips and tricks video. But we're going to go ahead and get this flower bed worked on here. Do be cautious of the tree roots there. And unfortunately, the third-person camera does end up being invaded by the trees overhead. There's not a whole lot that can be done about that. So we did get that taken care of, and I'm going to go back to more of a top-down look. I think that was some grass we missed, so I decided to take care of it. And as I said, this mower is not great for this lawn. So even though we're only cutting 50% of the grass at a time, we're still overloading our engine because our mower is just not able to handle this. And just like before, we're going to kind of edge off this portion of the lawn so that the next time we come around, we can continue mowing in a continuous motion, and we backed up and took care of the part that would have caused us to have to keep backing up or stopping and starting every time we came back around. I mean, we're not even at 50% grass there, and it's overloading our engine. We were barely moving there, and it was still telling us we were overloading. Just not that great of a mower for this contract, which is why it can be frustrating. But also kind of does a good job of preparing you for what to expect on the expert contracts, because you'll run into this quite a bit. With this section done, do a quick look at the Pro View. Just make sure you didn't leave any massive chunks of grass behind, and we're going to jump back into the section over here and finish this off. As long as we don't, do anything stupid here, we should be okay. We got 8 minutes left and we're at 81%, but the overloads can be severely frustrating, which is why just because you have a lot of time left doesn't mean, you're home free. You definitely still need to keep an eye on your overloads and make sure that you're not cutting more grass than your mower is capable of. Because if you wind up leaving too much grass behind, you're still going to have to come back out and clean up after yourself to get to the 99.5% cut. So we're going to cut this section off. And again, we're not even cutting 50% of the lawn there, and we're overloading our engine. It's very frustrating. I wish there was a cruise control. So we're going to do a quick Pro View there. And I don't think we really overloaded until we were back here. You can see how much we missed there. So we're going to take care of that and return. And we barely even got on the grass and we started overloading. Again, the key to overloads is just stopping before you do damage to your engine. I've tried a few different methods to try to deal with it. I've tried driving backwards for the entire contract. That didn't work out. So the only thing I can really recommend is what I've been saying. Try to get about 50% new grass and manage your speed as best you can. Unfortunately, this contract kind of sucks no matter what method you choose to use. And you may have noticed in the bottom right hand corner we're starting to fill up our clippings bin on the back of our vehicle. Don't worry about that. Even if you do fill it up, the penalty from leaving clippings anywhere is negligible. It's not worth worrying about. In fact, I'm not even sure if they give you a spot to dump it on this level. I don't think they do. So giving you a mower that has the clippings bin is kind of a a jerk move, because then you just have that icon flashing in your face and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Again, be cautious of that brick pathway. As I said, I got stuck on it in a previous recording and had to restart. So and I know we're going to be finishing this with about 4 minutes left, but I promise you, if you're not perfect with your overloads, this challenge can be insanely frustrating. So don't let the, oh, he finished with 4 minutes left, it must be an easy challenge, don't let that get you cocky, because the overloads are a real pain on this. And there you go, folks. We finished the contract. Again, follow all the tips that I've given you, and you should have no problems. We almost got stuck there. Oh, and there are the bins for the clippings if you wanted to empty out your mower. And we did finish with some time left, so even if you do struggle with overloads, if you do get to the very end here and finish your grass and the game still tells you you haven't reached the 99.5 requirement, you can, go around with ProView and grab your string trimmer or your mower and try to clean up after yourself. If you have time to do that, one of the benefits of how they changed the challenges with the string trimmers is that the contract timer stops when you cut the grass and reach the required cut, whereas before you used to have to drive onto the trailer to finish the contract. So if you have a minute or two left, you can still grab the string trimmer and run out and try to cut whatever grass you might still need. But I think I've shown you just about everything there is to know about this one. If you have any questions or comments for me, you can always reach out to me and I'll do my best to answer them. But if not, I will see you guys next time.